Look, I think that all the internet thing and the download culture and the iPod culture and whatever you call it, it's a very good thing for music. Very, very good thing. One of the best things that happened to music.
Well, I don't actually, you might be surprised to hear that I don't disagree with you on that. In fact, I think the internet probably has in many ways liberated music in a way from a kind of period of time when it was very much in control of the record companies and in control of marketing, and what the internet did was provide an opportunity for artists to go directly to their audience. And obviously you have now groups like Radiohead and Nine Inch Nails making their music directly available over the internet.
And you've got a MySpace.
And I think that's all fantastic. I suppose it's like anything in life, that there is plus and negative to anything. Any technological development has its plus and its negatives. The negative side of the internet and iPod culture and download culture is that it has made music devalued to the point where people don't really expect to pay for it, and they don't really perhaps absorb it in the same way that they used to.
New album is not
it's not the event.
It's not an event anymore.
That it used
you
to
know,
be,
you listen to it weeks, months, like 6 months before the official release date, until you know, on the day of the official release day, it's an old record.
It's interesting.
It's an old one.
No, I agree. It's interesting, isn't it, that the big events in the last year have been the release of albums on the internet, download, like the Radiohead in Rainbows. All the press was about the download release, and when the album finally came out, it was like, oh, was the Radiohead album out? I mean, that's interesting, and perhaps there is a way that music will kind of gradually move more and more towards that, and you will have the big event releases again, but there'll be virtual download releases. I used to wish I was born 20 years earlier, because I think in many respects the golden era of music for me still, the late 60s and the 70s, there was this incredible explosion of creativity coming out of the kind of singles era and moving in with bands like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Hendrix and the Who and Pink Floyd, coming out of psychedelic music into progressive music, into art rock, into the great era of the album, when the album really became elevated to the level of a great art form. Whereas before, the album had been literally a collection of singles or a collection of songs. Suddenly there were people who were looking at the album as an art form in its own right. And there was a great era from 67 through to punk, 77, where the album really became the primary art form. And then punk came along, and I think it needed to. I mean, I love a lot of punk and post-punk music, but I think punk music really kind of ended the golden era of the album as art form. And so I have a certain nostalgia for that era. I feel like I should have been, you know, in a way, making music at that time. But on the other hand, I feel that's coming back again. I feel there are, you know, certain artists that are bringing that whole philosophy back. Yeah. Whether it's bands like Sigur Rós or Flaming Lips or Tool or Mars Volta or Opeth or whoever it is. There are a lot of bands, I think, really making great albums again. In terms of my regrets for the future, it's hard, you know, because the music industry, at least the way I know it and the way I love it, is kind of dying to an extent.
Yeah.
I think it's being reborn into something else, and I'm not quite sure what that thing is yet.